Well, it's 2 p.m. Central African time. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Market View today. I'm your host, Sifiso Ngumalo, and I will be bringing you the latest updates and insights into the dynamic world of finance and commerce today. We've got an exciting lineup for you once again. The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, has set the wheels in motion for a groundbreaking project, the commencement of the 2 billion emalangeni state-of-the-art Manzini Mall at the Ntwese development site that has been officially commissioned at the Old Trade Fair in Manzini. Now, the minister projects that this monumental mall will be completed towards the end of the year, promising over 1,000 job opportunities upon its completion. Joining me to discuss the developments surrounding this exciting project is our business journalist, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla. But for our final segment, we will dive into the heart of the financial markets. And joining us to dissect today's financial indices will be our resident economist, Sanele Sibiya. We'll be analyzing the performances of key indices from across the globe, including the United States markets, the Asian markets, South African markets, and more. We must competition langeni with the major currencies globally. All of that as you stay tuned to enjoy today's program. For now, let's look at the leading stories in our business news. The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, has commissioned the commencement of the 2 billion emalangeni state-of-the-art Manzini Mall at the Ntwese development site at the Old Trade Fair in Manzini. The minister says the mall is expected to be completed towards the end of the year.
In May last year, His Majesty King Eswatini III cut the sword for the construction of the state-of-the-art shopping mall in Manzini at the Old Trade Fair. Today, the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, has marked the commencement of the mall, promising that Emaswati will be afforded employment opportunities. The minister says Ntwese Development will build the mall, which is expected to be completed by the end of next year.
Imall lenkulu la kaManzini lentiwa inkampani lebitwa ngeNtwese Development. Siyajabula kakhulu ke lamhla ukuthi lamhla umsebenzi soyasukuma icontract yeqala letawusebenta kuze ukuthi into ema-earthworks iphindze iclearishe lendzawo lamhla seyiyaqala iyasebenta kutabe sekulandzela tigaba takhona ke kuze ukuthi ngeminyaka lotako mawuphela le project ibe iphelile. Lokhu kuyasijabulisa kakhulu ngoba ngumsebenzi lomkhulu lo utawudala imisebenzi eMaswatini kusakhiwa leminyenti utawuphindze futhi ke le nkampani yakanTwese ifake imali lenkulu la njengoba sathi isonzela kubo 2 billion emalangeni letaba ngumsebenzi lotawungena la kaManzini.
The development manager tells us more about the job opportunities.
From an employment perspective, we have a table of content that we normally share during development, but an employment development like this during construction, we can employ anything from 600 to, I guess, 750 people on site at any given time. That's without your day labor and your casuals. So this is just direct employment. And once the shopping center is open, we employ for a 30,000 square shopping center anything from 1,000 to 1,500 direct employment, which is obviously durational employment.
According to the Manzini City Council, the daytime population for Manzini is plus or minus 120,000 people, some of which are prospective customers on this new mall. For Market View, Nelson Ndlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
There will be an increase in local sugar exported to the United States of America, and this has been said by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, when giving an update from the United States Africa Business Summit, which the minister attended last week.
It was a very good meeting where African countries made a pitch to the US of A investors about investment opportunities in their respective countries, including Eswatini, and we also got to interact with prospective investors and prospective traders in the US of A that seek to expand trade between our two countries. It was a very fruitful meeting where we engaged with a number of prospective investors and also solidified relationships with existing investors. And there were other trade opportunities. For example, we found people that are looking to import more sugar into the United States of America, and we then have connected them to our sugar association. We have had many interested people that we will then hand over to Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority for further engagement until hopefully they invest in the country. It is very prudent to add that currently there's about 39 companies in Eswatini that export to the United States of America across many sectors. And we also wanted to ensure that these markets are solidified and we strengthen that particular relationship with the US of A.
All right, that's it for our business news. We talked to our business journalist Nelson Langamandla. After the break, we look at the developments happening at Eswatini surrounding the Eswatini community that is being hired at the Central Bank complex. After the break.
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sithi khulumeni.
Welcome back. Let's look at this story. Over 40 Eswatini from Eswatini community have been hired at the Central Bank complex as the old building is being renovated. The governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Philip Nisi, has assured members of the public that as the bank continues to be constructed, hiring will be done in the most transparent manner.
What is more exciting about this project, ladies and gentlemen, are the employment prospects that it has already availed and yet to avail while construction is underway. This will benefit everyone from the major contractors to local residents who now have a chance to earn a living. The bank is proud to have contributed in these job opportunities as it has so far engaged a total of over 40 people, including new hires who are doing part of the paint work. All these are from Eswatini constituency. We ensure a fair and transparent recruitment process by working together with Eswatini, Ingundla, and Bukopo. This way, everyone has a chance to be considered. We hire people with a variety of skills to meet the different demands of the project. While some specialized positions might be filled by those from outside the area, the majority of workers are local residents. We are thrilled about the potential for the skills transfer during this project, and we hope these newfound skills will empower Eswatini to start their own businesses in the future and create lasting positive impact. I would like us to appreciate that this development should not and must not be seen in isolation, but should be seen in the context of development in Eswatini, integrating itself to other developments that are happening in the area, so that we create a seamless ecosystem that is beneficial to the economy of Eswatini.
Dr. Philip Nisi wants to create a seamless ecosystem that is beneficial, not just to, the bank itself or just the country, but general public at large. Everyone should benefit as the construction of this state-of-the-art building. Umsebenzi utawusuka masinyane. Was very interesting to see on Friday when they celebrated their 50 years of existence. He even did say to the king that they approximate that about 7 years is going to be the duration that will be taken to fully construct this monumental building. Nelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the excitement around job creation, particularly from just the nation's standpoint. Over the last 5 years, I think that should give us a good umbrella of some of the programs or what government has done over the last 5 years in employment creation.
Thank you so much, Sfiso Ngivusele nembukele ekhaya. Ngicabanga ukuthi lokumqoka kakhulu ukuthi the Minister of Commerce has always said ukuthi in order for Eswatini to be a resilient economy, kufanele ukuthi abe khona lama employment opportunities, and you can see ukuthi every sector is promising ukuthi vele sitawenda konke lokusemandleni to ensure that nasisaqasha we are transparent. So lengikubonile nangibuka hulumende uthi eminyakeni lesihlanu leyengcile ubaqashile mhlawumbe sivele sing 53,415. Those are jobs that were created, and 6,410 of those jobs come from foreign direct investment. Bese ke lele minye kuba mhlambe ma expansion lende ke khona la ngeKhatheveni netinkampani leti khona la ngeKhatheveni. Angeke ke sikhohlwe ukuthi kukhona imisebenzi lelahlekile, yes, but what government is doing uletha leminye imisebenzi. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade in the past 5 years has opened about 17 factory lapho khona kucashwe wona eMaswati. Siyabona lapha endasi kubonga kuboze ngiyangu kune factory shell le khona lapho letawakhathi impahla temisebenzi. So we are seeing government really ensuring ukuthi uyazama lokuthi ayilethele foreign direct investment. Sibonile kusukuma tindzaba tabo mining lapho khona eMaswati nakhona kuthiwa kutawucashwa kakhulu eMaswati kucalwe ngalawa la khona la emimangweni lapho basebenta khona.
I mean, every day we do talk about, the far-reaching impacts of COVID-19, the far-reaching impacts of, what poverty has done, just everything just trickling down into what today has been, the high unemployment rate in the country. But appreciating all these programs, 53,000 jobs is not a joke. And, the country is still strengthening, our foreign direct investment and creating more job opportunities locally. How do we react now to this particular project that Dr. Philip Nisi is talking about? I mean, if you look at a duration of 7 years, Nelsie, that means Maswati will be employed during the construction phase of 7 years and after that phase. How do you react to that particular project?
Lo msebenzi we Central Bank ungilomunye lo wengeta kulona lo wendiwa nguhulumende, and what is being said by the governor is that we are going to try kwekuthi lapho khona eMaswati angangena khona. We should understand kwekuthi nakusakhiwa kunemisebenzi vele lengeke mhlawumbe leso skills sitholakale la even leMaswati noma ke leso skills sekufanele ukuthi simportwe sibuye la even. Ngiloko la kachaza ukuthi okay, in as much as we are trying to ensure ukuthi the space is professional in everything, but we are going to ensure as much as possible ukuthi eMaswati lokulanga khona kusiniketa kona ayasiniketa, which will contribute immensely to ensuring ukuthi sinciphisa na unemployment rate ikakhulu kubantu labasha lela kubo 58.2% ngekusho kwayo ilabor force survey.
Yeah. Another, interesting topic around employment creation is the quality of jobs that are being created. And one wants to acknowledge that the quality of, employment hinges on quality education. Do we see a play there with, our educational sector and our commerce sector in making sure that, our education is really, really at par to produce people with high expertise, and after they graduate, they get jobs that can fully compensate them as to, their expertise?
It has been overly said, Sfiso nembukele ekhaya kwekuthi vele there is a mismatch between imfundo lesiniketwa yona esikolweni naloku lokufunekako emsebenzini, which is why the Ministry of Education is taking it upon itself kwekuthi okay, asesibuke ukuthi curriculum yethu singayimisa kanjani, asesibuke bo TVET hulumende ke lokho ukuqinisekisa mama kwekuthi engabe la kubo TVET singakukhulisa kanjani ukuthi sale stifaka lete makhono. Last week I was at Sibane Hotel where we caught up with with the World Bank, though they didn't want to talk much to us at that time because the project is under the Ministry of Education, but they stated that there is an ongoing project. Leta ubuka dona lete ma skills kwekuthi engabe afakwa njani vele la ma skills la etikolweni la kuma institutions of higher learning, so that it starts nasiphume sesati ukuthi okay, this is what is expected. Nale industry nayo ikhone lokube mukela labamfla babuya in the different tertiary institutions.
Well, here's my personal dream that this year, this financial year, we double that 53,000 job opportunities that we saw in the last financial year, and I think it's possible. Looking at the big projects that are commencing, we just looked at a story that you covered today, the 2 billion state-of-the-art mall in Manzini.
Yes.
I want you to react to that one before we look at a clip where they speak about that development.
So government abethi demnyakeni lesihlanu ngilesifiso ofisa ukuthi per year create over 10,000 jobs, which I think at the speed la hamba ngaso hulumende you can tell ukuthi utaw surpassa that number lebekayibekile, because uyabona lokuthi maningi lama project, and the Minister of Commerce has stressed over time ukuthi we want to ensure ukuthi the jobs that we are bringing to the country akusiyo nje imisebenzi mhlawumbe emaswati lataba holela mhlawumbe imali lencane, sifuna imisebenzi leta wenda ukuthi live leSwatini libe ku map yemhlaba ekuthaneni nayo iGDP yethu ikhule lapha even. So we are seeing the Ministry of Commerce isifiso kune blended finscope survey lapho khona sibuka khona kwekuthi iministry beyibuka kwekuthi engabe lana kubosoma business, because remember government is not the only one mhlambe lokufanele ukuthi akhe emathuba yemisebenzi. Hulumende kufanele akhe emathuba emisebenzi ngekwesekelwa ngiyo i-private sector nema small and medium enterprises. What we are seeing in the small and medium enterprises sector kwekuthi there is about 93,980 SMEs lakhona, even hiring about 92,750 wesive semaswati. Lokudingeka konje lapho ukuthi mhlambe ba capacitate banikedwe mhlambe naleto timali labahlala bakhala ngaso sonke isikhathi, bese bayasitakala nalokuthi basenda lemikhicito yabo phela abawamithe lama standards. Indzaba yema standards ngiyo lenkhulu kakhulu, because as a small and medium enterprise utawukhanza ukuthi nabo after nyale continental free trade area utawufuna exporter uyise ngaphandle bayawaletha lawo ma specialists, but le specialists sitawufika lana si grade sithi hayi kahle, what if you move to a certain area, will the standard be kept the same? So those are some of the things that government is working on to ensure that these SMEs contribute immensely to the economy.
Not forgetting the projects that His Majesty toured Eswatini in March, the motel, the distribution center, all those exciting projects. And an important point you touched on, the capacitation of the SMEs as they get these monies, and we have seen the keen interest in that from all the the organizations handing out that money. Let's look at this clip real quick before we end our segment.
Our developments have always been types that get development unlocked. We, from economic perspective, everywhere we go, we build a shopping center. It starts with a filling station. It starts with offices. When you see again, you got a precinct. We always refer to what happened in Sandton in South Africa. It really is a catalyst, because it's very difficult to get industries going at the moment. So when you see again, you'll see it seems like a 2 billion Eswatini dollars presentation, but when you see again, you'll easily be somewhere, this thing will be 5 billion. It just grows and grows.
Yeah, and that is how we wrap up our segment with our business journalist Nelson Ndlangamanda. We want to look at today's financials with Sunny Lesbia after the break.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
ujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
All right, it's 20 minutes after 2 p.m. Let's welcome Sunny Lesbia virtually to look at today's financial market. We want to start with the United States markets today, Mr. Lesbia, the DJI, the Nasdaq Composite, and the S&P 500. Ngabe, could you elaborate maybe on what factors might have contributed to the marginal increase we see today in the Dow Jones Industrial, despite a relatively small gain in points?
Thank you, Mr. Numalo. So what we are seeing there is, yes, there is that bit of rallying in the markets. So what we are looking into, what is going to be driving markets this week, Mr. Numalo, is the fact that we are awaiting CPI data to come in sometime this week, probably on Wednesday, and then we're also awaiting job numbers to come out as well in the US this week. So from the inflation data that we saw in the previous month, we saw both core and headline inflation at both tipped upwards, signaling signs of a much hotter economy. But then when we saw a couple of weeks back, the employment numbers or the job numbers came out, the jobless claims, they came out better, they came out a bit cooler. So what the market is now pricing is to really just to see that how the numbers are going to come out on Wednesday and Thursday sometime this week. And that is actually going to either reinforce or cause the market to recalibrate the expectation of the interest rate cuts. So currently the US economists, when you poll them, they're expecting about 2 interest rate cuts starting in September to December. But then if the numbers come back a bit higher, the markets might have to take those in. So that's why we are seeing this listlessness in the US markets. Markets are moving, but really not by much. But what we are seeing is they are edging closer to their all-time peaks.
And then the Dow Jones is on the green, but is that the same interpretation we attribute to the slight decrease in the Nasdaq Composite despite a minimal change in points as well?
Yes, it's what the markets are waiting for, what the markets want to see, as we are awaiting this data. But another thing that has happened is if you look at earnings reports coming out from last week, you would see that, some companies were doing fairly better, just that, with a bit of the tech sector not really performing well. That's why we are seeing those changes in the Nasdaq. But mostly it's about the markets waiting to see what the data is how the data is going to pan out.
Let's look at the European markets in light of the mixed performance in the European markets. What maybe geopolitical or economic events could have influenced these outcomes?
Yeah, so basically when we are looking, you'll see that London is still doing fairly better, but it's a bit mute as well. The gains are a bit marginal, and then you will see that the DAX and the CAC 40 index are down. So Frankfurt and Paris not really doing well, only London doing marginally better. So again, it just goes back to the story of, expecting the news to come out of the US, because what we are going to see is the news coming out of the US are actually going to influence what is going to happen in the world market. So basically everyone this week is looking out for the US inflation test to see if inflation is going to let down in the US. And if it lets down, usually it might begin to drive prospects for growth. And given the numbers that we had seen in the past, so the markets are really not loving the news that are going to come out this week, because they might actually show to effect that we might have to stay a bit longer with higher inflation and higher for longer, right?
Let's get into the Asian markets now. Really interested that despite the negative performance of the Nikkei in Asian markets, the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong saw a significant increase. What local or global factors might explain this divergence?
So the Asian story, we know the troubles in Japan. So, Japan is still trying to readjust themselves to their, what's it called, to their, they're trying to readjust to their new interest rate, positive interest rates. So, the markets are still trying to find an equilibrium. And what we are seeing as well is also the weakening yen, Japanese yen, it's trading at all-time lows against all major currencies. But one thing that we are seeing that is quite interesting, that is moving Hong Kong and effectively Beijing is going to begin moving sometime this week. So basically, we are seeing the Chinese government really coming out to stay to really table a $1 trillion yen stimulus package. So it is that package that the markets in the Middle East, in the Orientals have been waiting for. That's when we are waiting to see how China is going to reinvigorate its market. So what we are seeing there is, Hong Kong is trying to move ahead of the curve on that, just trying to anticipate how that is going to actually affect markets. It's still going to trickle into Hang Seng a bit later on, and then once that listing of that $1 trillion yuan bond is listed, and then it starts trickling into the economy. So we're going to see China starting to really boost its economy and show the economy up.
Is that the same interpretation we attribute to the, Shanghai, is it called the Shanghai Composite Index?
Yes, the Shanghai Composite Index. So again, with the Shanghai Composite Index, the markets are actually waiting to see that. But no, the contrasting story with Shanghai is they also are waiting to see what's going to happen in terms of the US data as well. They know that inflation test has markets a bit edgy across the globe. Markets are a bit edgy across the globe because of that. Litmus test that we must pass, in terms of inflation. So Shanghai is a bit trying to look into that. And also we are seeing the struggles in terms of, the tech sector, and quite a number of tech companies are listed in Shanghai. And, as well, President Xi Jinping just returned from the Europe the previous week. And, it seems there were no significant deals signed. There was really nothing major moving in that front. So that's why we're seeing markets in Shanghai also be behaving this way, because everyone was expectant of quite a couple of very big deals coming out from the European tour.
Look at commodities, the underlying reasons behind the decrease in the price of gold, Mr. Sibiya, despite its maybe historical role as a safe haven asset. What might be the underlying reasons there?
Again, it's the litmus test, it's the inflation test that the world is looking forward to. So just a couple of weeks ago, we saw that, the job numbers in the US came a bit into favorable reasons, showing a bit of a cooling in that aspect. So the markets are expectant that cooling in terms of the job claimless numbers is also going to trickle into the inflation numbers. So if the inflation numbers show a relatively softer inflation stance going forward, then that means we are going to reaffirm the fact that we are expectant of 2 interest rate cuts before the end of the year. So once that happens, you will see that equities are going to start gaining ground, and people are going to start shifting capital towards equities. And a bit of less of those in terms of the safe haven, in terms of gold. So that's why we are seeing gold slipping in today's trading session.
Seeing a marginal increase in Brent crude prices. Maybe just give us a brief answer there and the reasons behind that, as well as how Lilangeni pairs with major currencies today.
Okay. So, in terms of the Brent crude, we are seeing it edging a bit up, but still wiggling around the $83 mark. So that one is actually against on the backdrop of decreasing oil demand in the background of the fact that, we might see interest rates staying higher for longer this year. And then when we're coming into currencies, what we are seeing there is, the Lilangeni is performing much better. We are on the 1836 against the dollar, on the 1979 against the euro, and we are just on the 848. So we are gaining ground against all major currencies. That actually is also in the background of this interest rate story across the globe. So now the major economies, so long as they keep on pricing their interest rates, their interest rate cuts, that somehow bodes well, but may not necessarily be good for what we are for our economies in the long run.
We have so much to unpack, so little, very little time. I hope we'll have more time tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Sibonga nimbukele emakhaya lo sibukele ke esukwini lalo muhla nibe nosuku oluhle nisanekala.